Everybody, welcome back to my messy desk. Today I want to talk about based on true stories. Okay, in January I watched a ton of movies, way more than I should have, but it was glorious. And my favorite type of movies are based on a true story. I love any true story, any based on a true story, biographies, biographical dramas, all of that. I love to watch it, to look it up, to look at what happened, to compare them, all of those things. Okay. At the same time, I, in preparation for book 6, am reading through my own books. Okay. Which is not glorious, but it hasn't been bad. But I don't know. There's something so, I don't know. It's like you dread going through your own story again, you know? Anyway, but reading back through it, it's a fictional story. Brumbletide is a fictional story, okay? But there's so many things that are based off of true stories in here. And so I wanted to go through those with you today, okay? Because even if you haven't read Brumbletide, just these things that I have put in here that are based off of things that have happened in my life, they're interesting. So you're going to enjoy this video no matter what, okay? Anyway, okay, so I made a list so that I don't chase too many rabbits, but we know that there will be at least a few chased down the rabbit hole. But let me give you a rundown of what Brumbletide is about, just in case you haven't read it, and then I will get into it, okay? So Brumbletide and the Daughter of Eve is the first in a what is now a 5-book series that will be a 7-book series when all is said and done. It is about a girl, Maggie Pruitt, who is 12, getting ready to be 13, and she lives in a unpolished family in a messy house in an average everyday town called Little Ipswich. That is average and normal in every way, except that in the Lux Sea that borders the town, it floats this magical, miraculous castle where the general public comes to be treated as royalty. And so anybody, young and old, rich or poor, can go to this castle and have their own throne, their own royal feast, their own crown, gown, get called your majesty, the whole 9 yards. Okay. And so Maggie finds herself in this castle and gets the chance of a lifetime to go to the castle's own academy where young people are groomed into their royal destiny. Okay. So she is a rough and tumble non-elite, and she is finding herself in this private academy where she is not only, experiencing these magical classes that would never happen in her normal high school, but she comes to find out that she is a daughter, okay, a quote unquote daughter of one of the 7 highly esteemed ancestors, Eve, and also the more that she's in this castle, she comes to find out that the magic is fueled by something very, very dark and wicked. Okay, so so yes. Anyway, all right. Let's get into it. Real things that the fiction is based on. Okay. The opening scene, okay, really happened. And it's so weird. It's a weird way to start the book, but it really happened. Okay. And that's why I kind of use things that happen, because even though Maggie is not me, the family is not my family, when you use things that really happen to you, it gives a, uniqueness to the story, because no one else has gone through anything exactly like what you've gone through, So, so when people go to the castle, okay, these events where everyone's treated as royalty, okay, they're called batch. They're called batch. And so the first chapter is called Take Me to Batch. And it opens with Maggie sitting with her family in the living room, Maggie and her brother are eating dinner on the floor, and her parents are on the sofa, and they are watching a scary movie. Okay. And in the movie, there's a boy who every time he's around someone, they end up dying a terrible death. And Maggie's just really creeped out by the movie and doesn't want to keep watching it, but she does. And at the end, she's terrified and asks her mom what this movie is about because she can't piece it together. Okay. And her mom tells her that that movie was actually based on a true prophecy from Pippin's Puzzle, which the castle where everyone is treated as royals. They're known for this book, right? And that scene actually really happened. Okay, so first things first, if you have read the story, you know that Maggie's mother is ridiculous. She is terrible. Okay, she's terrible and annoying and mean. And so, first things first, the mother is not my mother. The mother is not based on my mother. The mother was inspired by my love for Roald Dahl books. Okay. I am a huge Roald Dahl fan. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, as I went through in yesterday's video. And I love ridiculous, over the top villains. Okay. So the witches, Trunchbull and Matilda, the Dursleys and Harry Potter, all of these over the top ridiculous villains. I love them. And I wanted one in mine. And so I chose for Maggie's mother to be one, and also for Queen Mother Mamie. One of the teachers at the school are called Queen Mothers. Okay. And so the one, as we know, Queen Mother Mamie is absolutely hideous. And all of that comes from my love of Roald Dahl books. So first things first, the mother is not my mother. Okay. But that scene, that opening scene, really happened. Okay. When we were in my living room, I was 8 years old, and we were a very unpolished family. Okay. Working household, not rich. We were latchkey kids. We just watch anything on TV. Anyway, we're all eating dinner, and they have the Omen on TV. Okay. If you don't know, if you don't know what that is, it's absolutely inappropriate for your kids. It is a horror trilogy, okay, about the Antichrist. Okay. But it's different because it's about, like, if Satan had a son. Okay. So Satan and a jackal have this boy Damien, okay, and he goes out into the world and it's anyway, it's awful, okay. Um, Creeped me out. I was watching it, and I couldn't piece it together, but I knew there was something weird about it. So when it was over, I asked my mom what was going on in that movie. And she said, actually, this movie is based on Revelation in the Bible, and gets out the Bible and reads Revelation to me. And so I was absolutely distraught, horrified, terrified, to the point where I would get sick for years from that movie. Okay. And how Maggie, she's terrified, and she says, we need to go to Batch, Mom, because she's wanting to find out more about this, more about this prophecy. I said, Mom, let's go to church. and so anyway, that was such a funny story. It wasn't funny at the time. I was so terrified, but it really happened. Okay. So that's the first one. Next on the list, the family. Okay. So I just said the mother is not my mother. The mother is not my mother. The dad is not my dad. But he's very close. The dad is very close to my dad. Okay. But it is that we do have a mother, a father, me and my younger brother, like Maggie's family. Okay. And we were very rough and tumble. We were very messy. We had a messy house. My parents worked. We were latchkey kids. They didn't have time to clean or even, like, enforce rules. You know what I mean? So we were just a mess. We weren't a rich household. You know, my parents moved to the neighborhood that we lived in when there was nothing in that town. And then slowly, all of these rich neighborhoods were built. And so we were like this little house, like these little houses all surrounded by these rich people, and so I guess some of that, the elites at um the elites at the castle at Emily Castle. I guess that probably came from my experience living in the town. I don't know, but that's anywhere you go. Anywhere you go, there's people, rich people, people trying to act like they're rich, sort of rich people, and then poor people. Okay, so that's anywhere you go. Anyway, okay, so the family is very similar to my family. It's set in England, and I grew up in Georgia, so that is not the same. Mother is not my mother. Okay, I have to be careful the way I say this because I don't want to like hurt anybody's feelings. Maggie leaves home and she leaves home, okay? And she also gets a job at Nan's Pancakes, okay? So when she gets into Emily Academy, it's so expensive, and her mother, is making her get a job to pay for it, okay? And she goes against what the father wants. The father doesn't want anything to do with Emily Castle. And so when she lets the academy talk her into enrolling Maggie into the school, she doesn't have the money to pay for it. And so she has Maggie get a job underage. Okay. And so the dad is so enraged by the whole thing that it was just the straw that broke the camel's back, and he leaves. Okay. And the family falls apart, and Maggie leaves. She runs away from home, and goes to live in the top room of a pub. Okay. So it's fiction, but it's based on a true story. Okay. Because when I was 15, my parents got divorced. And when that happened, it was the worst for all of us. And, obviously divorce is hard on any couple, but for my brother and we became these rebellious. I mean, I guess we were probably always this way. We weren't, we were just little sinners, but when my dad wasn't around to keep us in line, we became so rebellious and terrible to my mom. And we did awful in school and just a mess. Okay. And it was just a terrible time. And, I ended up doing really badly in school, and mom and everything. We were just in a mess, and I saw no way of ever repairing my grades, and so I decided at 17 that I knew everything I needed to know, that there was nothing else I needed to learn, and I left home and school in the same morning, and started working at Waffle House, and moved in with one of my friends. Okay. And so obviously the story is very different and much lighter, even though it's not light in the story. But it's inspired by that. Okay. Because, you know, when well, Maggie getting upset that her dad is gone and rebelling against her mother and leaving home, um, was inspired by me leaving home. Okay. And she didn't drop out of school. She ended up going to Emily Academy, right? But then, as the story goes on, that her dad dies right after that. He has well, I won't give away the end, but he dies after that. And her and Wes, her brother, are at the funeral, and he's upset that she left him at home with the mother, and they are watching their dad being lowered into the ground, and just sobbing across the lawn over this tragedy, and thankfully my dad is still alive, but that whole thing was just a death. A divorce is just a death. And when I left, um my younger brother did feel like I just left him there, and only cared about myself. And I put that in the story. How Maggie feels that she feels very guilty that she did not consider Wes in that situation. And when her dad dies, that came from the divorce, because it was just a death. It was a death for everyone. Okay, my dog is barking. Okay. Um, okay, so I dropped out and started working at Waffle House. Okay, if you don't know what that is a chain restaurant in the South, but I know they're up north now, but they used to only be in the South. And they are known for they're open 24 hours, a breakfast shop. Okay, but they're known for having um you know backwoods, like, you know 400-pound waitresses with two teeth. Okay, so I go to work there, and this was back when smoking was still in restaurants. Okay, so Waffle House had, it's probably, I mean, 1,700 square feet, possibly, but I mean, at the most. But it has a smoking section and a non-smoking section. Anyway, I smoked back then, and I was the worst. Okay, worst waitress of all of the waitresses there. I was by far the worst, and it was because I was entitled, spoiled, and pretty much offended at anyone trying to make me work, because I felt that I shouldn't have to work like everybody else was. Um, and so, thank God I worked there, because I was there a week. Okay, so when you first start, they put you on third shift, which is 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. Okay, so I'm working in the in the middle of the night. I'm 17 years old. I'm not used to staying up all night. I'm such a whiny brat, um, and I never listened to anything. So they told me, I'm sure, but when I was just there in the middle of the night by myself, I would just wait on my tables, make my money, and then go home, And I remember thinking, like, I wonder who they hired to, like, clean the bathrooms and, like, do the windows and stuff. And so, if you've read the book, there's that scene where Maggie has to be back to school, okay? But she's late because she goes to leave the restaurant where she works, and she's stopped by a waitress, and she says, "You're not going anywhere because you have left this place a mess since you've gotten here and ruined our days." Okay, and that really happened. I was getting ready to go home one morning, and Michelle Picklesmeyer, that was her name, she stopped me. She said, "Nope, you're not going anywhere." And she said, "You have left this place a complete mess for us, and we have been living horribly this whole week because of you." Because I hadn't been doing anything else other than just waiting on my tables, making my money, and going home, and leaving them with a pile of dishes, bathrooms not clean, all of this stuff for first shift, which that's like the busy shift at Waffle House. So she just ripped me a new one, and I was like in tears. It was a mess, but that was the beginning of finally getting a work ethic as a teenager. So thank God for Waffle House. I would like to hope that eventually I would have gotten a work ethic, but that is how it happened for me. And so I put that in the book because I thought that was such a great story. And it's just weird. It's weird that Maggie is working at a pancake house while she is attending this prestigious academy, and I guess I always felt like that back then. I was young and um doing fun things, like I would be invited to like parties and all of these things. And so I felt like I was constantly like dressing in a bacon colored uniform and like, in the dish pit and working all night, but then also like dressing up and having fun in clubs and things, And so I guess that where she has to change, from her gown to but anyway, okay, so that was the based on a true story there. What's next? Okay. All right. So Maggie, she's 12 when the book starts and turns 13. And she has no friends in Little Ipswich High. So in England, they're they don't do elementary school, middle school, high school. They do primary school, and then middle and high school, or high school. Okay. So she has no friends. She has no friends, and she says it's fine, except for when they have like dances and things like that. And I felt like that. I had no friends. I had very few friends, and there was always times where, you, it came time to get a partner, or you had to be like picked for a team or something. And I wasn't picked, or I couldn't find a partner. And there you are just feeling awkward and like a low life because everybody else has found one immediately. And then you have no one. And then like we had like pep rallies, okay, where the whole school, it was during school and there was going to be a game. And then we would all go into the gym and watch the cheerleaders and the basketball players and all this. Anyway, I wouldn't have anyone to sit with, so it was like obvious that I had no friends. When in the classes, if it was just normal school, you're sitting at your desk. It's not, you kind of just blend in, but I hated those extra things. Anyway, so that was true. And then Maggie gets her 2 friends when she goes to the school, and it's awesome. I didn't get those, but I'm glad that she did. Also, I don't want to make it sound like I had no friends, I had acquaintances, but I definitely had many times where I did not find a partner. I could not find a partner. I was not picked for a team. And I will tell you why as soon as you hear the rest of these things. Okay. So, Maggie's grandmother, whom she loved, who is dead in the book that we don't know why yet. Okay. Had jet black hair and drove a sports car, and my grandmother had jet black hair and drove a sports car. Okay. That is pretty much all I'm going to talk about from Daughter of Eve, the first book in the series, because that's all I can remember for now. Okay, of based on a true story things. Second book is Changing of the Crowns, and there isn't that much based on a true story in here, except the too much power too soon. Okay, so if you've read book 2, you know that Maggie has become head of castle, but it's too much power too soon. She has the scepter, all of it goes wonky, okay, in a very tragic way. And so that it had to have come. I don't remember writing this, like knowing this, that I don't remember knowing that I was writing this, but it has to have come from me thinking I knew it all, and then when I got out into the real world, I was just chewed up and spit out because I didn't know anything. And so just too much power too soon when I decided to try to be an adult, and I was so not one, and I was so naive and stupid. Anyway, so book two, if anything is based on a true story, it would be that. Okay, Triad Champion. I love this book. I love this book. I laughed so much writing this book. And in case you don't know, each of the books are in the theme of one of the Brumbletide ancestors. Okay, and they have their war mouth on the front. So this one is in the theme of Queen Eve, and her war mouth is Magnus, the flying pig. We have this book, Changing of the Crowns, is in the theme of Queen Sarah Lisa, and this is Hildy, her panther. We have King George. King George of Champion House, and this is his flying hound, Fergus. And so in this book, Maggie is head of castle, and she is in charge of the M Games. Okay, so this is a games, an Olympic type event that is extremely dangerous, very perilous. It happens every 12 years at Emily, and to Maggie's disadvantage, she has to lead them this year. And she is clumsy and unathletic and not good at it. Not a good leader, but she discovers that she has some gifts. She has some talents. Anyway, and it all comes out slowly but surely. What the castle really is being made known to the people. But okay, so the things in this book that are based on a true story. Okay, so in the first event, tower climbing, okay, they have to climb halfway up George Tower, okay, and the whole class does it, okay, the whole class is able to defy their fears. They're able to get past their fears of height, like one's even sick and throws up everywhere, but the whole class is able to climb the tower except Maggie, okay. Maggie gets up there and it's too much for her. Her muscles just aren't strong enough. She can't do it. She can't even make it a little bit. Okay. And that comes from the pull-up in high school. Does anybody remember the pull-up in high school? I just remember hanging there and not being able to do it, and watching everyone else. It seems like that everyone else can do it, but me, you have to get up there in front of everyone and not do it, right? And so I just channeled that. I channeled that for here. And even at the height of my fitness endeavors, I still was never great at pull-ups, but I did one eventually. Anyway, so that's based off a true story. Oh my gosh. I don't know. Did I put that in here? I don't think anything is. Okay, so there was a field. Remember field day? Field day at school. Did we have that, like Olympic day? Anyway, I don't know why we were doing this, but I had to do in sixth grade a relay, a rollerblade race. Okay, a rollerblade race, and we were at the football field, and everybody had their rollerblades, and everybody went around the track, and I was last place. Okay. And so everybody's in the risers, in the stands, looking down at you, sucking, and it was the worst, So for those kind of things, I just channeled just the humiliation and being in last place for Maggie. And then even the ones where she does do good, she ends up embarrassing herself in that as well. For those of you who have read the Gottfried's Grab event, okay, so that never happened to me. I never beat the crap out of anyone, thank God. But what did happen, and I've talked about this on here before, was the swim relay at summer camp. So first of all, summer camp. Second, I don't want to do an Olympic day, but I especially don't want to do a swim relay. Okay. You're in 8th grade. I don't want to be seen in a bathing suit. I don't want to get my hair wet. Anyway, but my friend, who was always it seemed like she was always uh on that time of the month. Okay. She has me go back to the cabin with her to get items for that. And it makes us late for the choosing of the events. And I get stuck with the swim relay. Okay. So I'm like dreading it. And the way the pool was, it has it's like an Olympic pool, and it has the lanes, right? And so I'm on the last lane, last in line to go. And you have to, one person dives in, um, swims across, tags the person on the other side. They swim across, tags the person. Anyway, okay. So it finally comes to my turn. I get tagged. I dive into the water. Okay. And I have always been this way. I don't want anything in my eyes. I don't wear contacts. I take a shower with the towel over the curtain, so that I can constantly wipe my face. When I swim, I constantly wipe my eyes. Like there's no like water in the eyes. Okay. So I dive in and I'm going fast. And I'm actually like, proud of how fast I'm going. Okay. I'm actually doing good in the swim relay. Okay. And I'm going along, and someone smacks me in the head. And I was like, okay. And so I keep going. I'm going fast. And I smack somebody. Okay. So I'm like sort of confused, but I just keep going. And I keep going. It's taking forever. And I finally reach the other side. I touch the side, get up, wipe my eyes, and no one else is in the pool. Okay. The whole, again, just like the rollerblade race, everyone's looking down into the pool at me, the only one in the pool. I had swam exactly diagonally across the pool and had no idea. And there was one guy there that I was like, oh my gosh, he's so handsome, right? And I wipe my eyes and I am like face to face with him, and he just goes like this look, and it was the worst. Oh my god, I just wanted to go die. In the cabin. I wanted to go die in the cabin and never come back out ever. And people ask me why I don't like the outdoors now. It's because it's been so traumatic for me. Okay, next. Okay, so that was pretty much all of Triad Champion. But the whole story, the whole Brumbletide story, okay, and this is not funny. The whole Brumbletide story is based on me in my 30s, okay? Realizing that you can be a part of an establishment for a long time. And if you're only focused on yourself and what they're doing for you, you will miss the whole point of what the establishment is, what they're about, and what's beneath it. And so that is what Brumbletide is all about. Okay. Is my experience of, learning from those times. And if there's a takeaway from this book, which I think there are many takeaways from this book, but is that, whatever you're a part of, examine it and know what it is. And don't be so about yourself that you are blinded to what's going on around you, what's going on right in front of your face. Okay, but before I go, I want to talk about book 4, because it is based on a true story, but this is not my true story. Well, yes, it is. Book 4, Brumbletide and the Queen's Doctor story. Spoiler alert, book 3 ends with Maggie getting knocked out. Okay. And I even had like bad reviews saying I should not have ended the book this way because book 4 was not published at the time, and I just leave you hanging. It ends with I receive a blow to the head, all goes black. Okay. So, but we know it's a 7-book series. She's not dead, right? So here she is. She is recovering from a terrible head injury. And the queen's doctor is a new character in this book. And while she's recovering, he is telling her the story of Emily and Brumbletide and the ancestors, and how Michelle deceived everybody and everything. Okay. Um, and that new character, the Queen's Doctor, is King Jaxie. Okay, because everyone is called King or Queen, Prince or Princess. King Jaxie, the Queen's Doctor, is C.S. Lewis. Okay, I went through a time, I guess not, it was probably a few years before I wrote this, where I just binged C.S. Lewis, and I just love him. I'm part of this C.S. Lewis enthusiast group called Pints with Jack, which is awesome. It has people from all over the world, but I love Narnia. I love The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which I had read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe already, and then a few years I just binged the whole Narnia, Chronicles of Narnia, all of the signature classics, which are Mere Christianity, The Great Divorce, The Screw Tape Letters, Miracles, all of those. Okay. And I just fell in love with C.S. Lewis. Okay. And he is such an amazing storyteller. And even when he's not storytelling, like Mere Christianity, it's just like it's such a comforting way to give the gospel. It's just so down to earth in ways that anybody can understand it. And it just feels like your dad is sitting with you and teaching you these things. And so I just thought he's the perfect guy. He's the perfect person to tell Maggie the story of the ancestors and Pippin and all of it. So C.S. Lewis is obviously, he was a real person, and so that's based off a true story. There's many hints that King Jaxie is C.S. Lewis. His nickname, with the Inklings were his writing group with J.R.R. Tolkien and other writers, and he was called Jaxie. And there's just many things that are hints that the Queen's Doctor is C.S. Lewis. And lastly, my daughter keeps saying, "Of course, Lee," and I love it. So, of course, Lee. Pippin, the Great White Stag, King of Brumbletide. Okay, he is the White Stag at the end of the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. The last chapter is chapter 14, The Hunting of the White Stag, and the Pevensie kids are in Narnia. They've grown up. They are mature kings and queens, have been ruling for years and years and years. And they want to hunt the white stag. Okay. And not hunt, like kill, they want to find it because they think it's going to give them wishes. Well, when they follow the white stag kind of leads them to the lamppost, and they see it and they're like, we have to check this out and see what it is. And they go past the lamppost, and there they are back in the wardrobe and back into the real world. Okay. And so I thought, what if that is sort of an appearing of Aslan? Okay. And in the Narnia books, he talks about that he is known many places by different names, so I thought, what if that's an appearing of Aslan, and this great white stag has his own kingdom of Brumbletide that he's going to have people come and build with him and rule with him. But something happens when somebody deceives everyone. And then he has to get it back. He has to redeem it and get it all back. So that is where Pippin comes from. He is the white stag. And the white stag in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is not just from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. That is something that has been in lore for centuries. And so I just thought that was neat. And there was something, also when he's telling them when we're in the scene of the making of the axiom. Okay. So the axiom is the snow globe that is the way into Brumbletide, the entrance into another realm. And it's a snow globe. Okay. With a castle inside. Well, when that is being, um, when the ancestors were watching it getting made, they saw in the fire a beaver and some children looking up and waving at them, and then disappearing. And that was some of the Pavinces and Mr. Beaver, and I think Tumnus was in there too. Yes, and Mr. Tumnus. Anyway, so they make a quick appearance in Queen's Doctor's story. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed that. That's definitely not all of the things, but some of the things that I remember just off of the top of my head, and then as I'm reading back through the story. If you have any questions, I will answer those. Just put them in the comments, and I will also put a link to the books if you want to read these for yourself or get them for your kids. They are not as bad as I thought. I constantly say, because there's a lot of death in the books, and I think writing them and remembering them, I was thinking it was worse than it is. But as I'm reading back through, it's not that bad. There is death and there's a few hells and damns, but it's very appropriate, in my opinion, for a 9 to 13-year-old, as I say the age group target is. But I love middle grade. And so if you are an adult, if you're in your 40s like me, maybe give it a shot. Okay. Thanks for watching, guys. And, I know I have a bunch of writers that watch this. So if you want to put in the comments true stories that you have kind of took inspiration from in your books, put it in the comments. I would love to hear it. Until then, blessings.